What's up, guys? Koma here, and today we are doing something different. So, in my last video, I covered the interactive trailer for Splitgate 2. But now, we're going to be going over a ton of the screenshots, and we're going to be going over the IGN article that was inevitably posted, and there included a little bit of interview with the devs. So we're kind of going over a lot of that. First of all, I want to cover the maps, and to cover the maps, we will be pulling up the IGN article. So this is the IGN article. It says Splitgate 2 unveiled for 2025 PC and console launch. It's actually cut off. Let me quickly fix that so you can see. Select the right thing. There we go. So basically, it goes on to explain why Splitgate 1 was closed down. It includes the cinematic trailer, which I covered the other variant of. And basically, they understood where Splitgate 2 needed to go and where Splitgate 1 kind of fell off. And once they got the backing afterwards, they basically said, we knew. I'm going to do this live because I forgot to do it here. We knew the strengths and weaknesses where Splitgate falls short and the whole 9 yards. And, quote, and we also felt like our goal is we want to be one of the biggest shooters in the world, and we want to be out there competing with Call of Duty and Apex and Fortnite, and we didn't feel like we could ever get there by continuing to iterate on Splitgate. So specifically, this is Splitgate 1. For most people who don't understand why they dropped Splitgate 1, mainly it's because Splitgate 1 had been basically thrown around. Multiple different people who knew how to code, resulted in some crazy art differences. So the starting art that you had for a lot of the legacy gear really doesn't match what was some of the later gear, and especially some of the newer gear before Splitgate 1 shut down. And obviously, there's some huge system reworks that, of course, we're going to cover. So going on to this next thing, they continue to explain that Splitgate 2 is basically going to be like a positive, sporty, feature-style, free-to-play 4v4 first-person shooter. So it goes on to explain a little about the maps, which is the main reason I'm bringing up this article. For example, he says, the walls of which players could place portals were originally kind of random in the original game. Because when you played maps like Takedown or Abyss, there was practically a portal wall on every single wall, no matter what section of the map you were in, basically allowing you to throw down portals to essentially get the flank on the enemy team or something of the sorts. However, due to the combined experience and data from players over the years, the team has a better understanding how portals heavily impact the gameplay. As a result, there were fewer portal walls in Splitgate 2 than Splitgate 1, and their placement is more deliberate. This basically just means that less portal walls, meaning that you're going to have to understand your portal limits very much better, like where can you go flank and where can you go to. You can't just simply start throwing portals around randomly. And I heard that there's also some other version of way that you're going to be able to not spam portals anymore. I don't know where that is. I haven't seen it in this article. So yeah, that's one thing to keep note of. With this next game, it's much more of a class-based shooter or arcade shooter, where it's still fast-paced. It's still about shooting people and portaling, but it's a bit more thoughtful, a bit more strategic. The angles are a bit more intentional and chaotic. So basically, it's just saying that it'll be a bit more brain-heavy compared to the first Splitgate, because the first Splitgate was always just about portaling to point A to point B to point C, and then, cleaning up the enemy, and then continue to portaling. They seem to understand that this is kind of where the casual player base falls off. And they even go on to say down here, the dream truly is to build the #1 shooter in the world. That's what I'm going to fight for forever. I think really, if we can make a game that all the Splitgate 1 fans love and they're sticking around forever, but also broaden their scope so that people who never got to enjoy Splitgate can enjoy this game as well. That's what success would look like to me. So basically, they're opening the scope a little bit. What does this mean as like a skill ceiling? This means that I think the triple portaling skill ceiling is going to come down somewhat, simply because number one, there's fewer portals, and we don't know if you could really bounce off portals, one after another. So, however they're balancing this game is going to be vastly different to what we will be seeing. So, going over into the images that I want to show off. So, we have 3 maps that are confirmed. We do have the names for each of them. And what you're seeing right now is Frontier. So this is a map that's focused on Mars. As you can see, you have the red sand all over the ground. And you can see Frontier name over here, and this place is the home world of Rhinoc, who is pretty much the big focus in this photo, and you can see the Sabrask logo. So Sabrask is the faction that pretty much dominates Mars, and this is a small little section of Mars that will actually be used during the Split games, or whatever the Splitgate games. So we have this section here, and you see this little interesting thing here. This is a small little jump pad. Don't think we see them anywhere else. Maybe in Ozone, I believe. But we'll get to Ozone in a moment. So there's a few other screenshots of Frontier. So here's another one. As you can see, there's very few portal walls. There's 2 here that you can actually see, like, pretty much right next to one another. You can see one inside this building, another one inside that same building. It looks like it's a little bit lower elevation, and there's one over in this little kind of like base zone area. So again, this is a beautiful map. I like how it's essentially the idea of like colonizing Mars, but there's still aspects of Mars seeding around inside of it. And going on to the next photo and screenshot, we have sliding. So this is crazy. Sliding was one of the biggest things that I think most Splitgate players wanted in the game. And this is obviously sliding right here. It could be just crouching, but the way that the speed lines and the blur on the side of the screen suggest this is like a forward momentum, so this is motion blur. This means that you are actively sliding. And basically this entire like building here is the same one that we see right here, I believe. Now it might be on the other side of the map, considering how this one looks in comparison, because this one looks very like I don't know, it looks a bit more messy in this section, assuming that these things are right here as well. In the one that we were just looking at, that is not the case, because, well, maybe it could be. But you can see that portal that I think we were seeing earlier, and this is the ramp that goes up to whatever portal wall is back here. So, and you can see some of the other, characters and weapons. It looks like someone's, no, it's just a bullet sparking. So yeah, that is Frontier. I'm gonna pull up the next ones, which will be Zenith. Okay, so this is the exterior of Zenith. So number one, wow, it looks great. It's definitely like a giant city of sorts that I'm kind of looking at. You can tell this is like some type of like structure that goes up, as you can see the stars, and you can see all the crowd just sitting in the stands over here with a bunch of lights and banners above them. So essentially this is Meridian's zone, and Meridian is pretty much based on Venus. So I don't think we actually get to see much of Venus as a whole here, but it's very much so more heavily sci-fi than Sabrask. So it seems more like this Halo New Numbasa, I guess, style to it. So yeah, this is like a really cool screenshot. I was really confused on what I was looking at initially, but it looks really cool. Going on to the next one. This is one screenshot of the map. So this is the lava section, I believe. So I believe this map is split into two sections. We have the lava section, and then we'll have a rainforest section, which I'll cover here in a moment. So this it reminds me a lot of Lava Well. You can see the portal walls, and the portal walls are a lot more like plentiful here. So it's really interesting, and you can also see down here that it says holographic simulation, which suggests this entire area is not actually a physical like place, like Frontier, I believe is. This is an entirely like simulated area. This entire map simulated. So in the same sense of the takedown maps that are in Splitgate 1, this entire area is a simulation. But yeah, this is like really cool screenshot. I love the angle that they did with this. Going on to the next one, we get some first-person view, and we have what looks to be some precision rifle with a scope, and then another long-range precision rifle. And then you can see, I believe that's Rhinoc in the background there holding his rocket. And this is the other section. So this is the rainforest zone. So this is the other half of the map. So I believe that map is split into two halves. You will have the rainforest and the lava zone. I have no clue what the middle of the zones look like. I don't know. But as you can see, Mira has some sort of rifle. We'll get into that here in a little bit. And then whatever character this is holding this, looks like longer rifle. So going on to the next map, we have Ozone. So Ozone is, the way I really put it in my first video was that Ozone is basically this game stadium. And it kind of is. You have this main big top section here, but you can tell a lot of the layout is more thought out than that. A lot of portal walls on this one in comparison to being able to see the vast amount of portal walls for the other maps. And this one is of course Eros, which is based on Earth. So this map is basically suspended over the top of a flying yacht, basically. And you can see the crowd as they're all standing in the stands, actively in the map, by the way. I don't know how safe that is. And this is one of the maps that you see through the cinematic trailer where Bolt basically jumps from, being momentum launched from here through this fin and then kind of coming out the other side around in the center. And there's cool things here, as you got the little mascot here. This, I guess that's one of the characters in the game. As you can see his hair. There's a cool car right in the middle, which you see in the trailer. And there's still just a bunch of sponsors that are sitting around the map, which you also get to see throughout the cinematics. Going on to the next one, we actually get to see that dual SMG that splits into two, that we actually see Bolt use, which you can actually see Bolt right here, chilling with his, what looks to be a little tiny SMG, and we'll cover that in a moment. But yeah, as you can see, they're shooting Rhinoc, and I believe this is Mira. No, it looks like another Eros users here. So Rhinoc is being shot at. I don't know what he's looking at, considering I would assume that's his friendly portal. But yeah. So anyway, let's go over weapons. I guess I'll just start here since I'm already here. So first of all, splitting SMG. We saw it in the cinematic trailer. Yes, this SMG goes between basically one gun for range and two guns for short range. I think this is an SMG. It doesn't quite make sense how it would work. I'm going to assume this is some type of like energy-based SMG, assuming that the bullets that I'm seeing fly out are kind of like sparking a little bit, especially the back end of this gun is kind of glowing. But the only alternative that I was thinking of is that this SMG is actually having some type of portal tech inside of it, sending bullets from the magazine and alternating between the two. Therefore, theoretically, you wouldn't have to have like two separate magazines. You just flip-flop. And it seems like this gun is actually loaded from the top, almost like a P90. So I can kind of see like what looks to be a magazine here, and maybe that's the mag release. And then Bolt is holding this tiny little dinky SMG, I would assume. This one seems to be just where the mag goes in front of the trigger guard. We'll get more into that later. I can't tell what Rhinoc is holding, but I would assume that's what these two weapon classes are being considered as. I'm going to go ahead and pull back up Zenith, because there's a few weapons we can go over in Zenith. So here on Zenith, I believe what we're looking at, either A, this is the carbine that we're looking at here with this blocky scope, or B, this is the BR. It's another Eros weapon, and we'll get into the whole faction weapons here in a moment. So it's hard to tell whether or not this is fired in more than one bullet, or this is just a single round. But I'll cover the BR here in a moment, because that came up in the cinematic trailer. What I really want to focus on is this thing. So this thing has very huge vibes of one of the ARC sniper rifles or ARC railguns that came from Season 1 of Splitgate 1. Or I think it was Season 1, or it was like Beta Season 1, or whatever they call it. So Beta Season 1 had these weapons that looked similar to it, but it was like completely black with green highlights. And you can see this one has green highlights, but like it was like 50% black, 50% green. But this could either be A, railgun, or B, a sniper rifle. It could be either one. So who knows? And then of course you can see the Rhinoc with the rocket launcher, which you get to see in the trailer where he wastes 3 rockets on a single person. So I don't think he knows what he's doing with it, but you know. Now going over to Frontier, we have plenty more to look at here. For one, we have this Eros assault rifle, it looks like. As you can see, the magazine is in the front. It's much longer than that SMG that we were seeing Bolt hold earlier, which I think this is also Bolt still. And then you see this little pistol here. Now initially, I thought this was the same pistol that we see in a bunch of the earlier stuff of like the Hall of Fame and whenever they first teased it. But this is a completely different little sidearm, and we'll see more sidearms later, but this is an aramid sidearm, meaning that this is an energy-based sidearm, as you can kind of see the blue plasma venting off of it. And I can't tell what that is, but it looks like it's a Sabrask kind of like long gun, assuming that they're shooting it at such a distance. So yeah, very interesting. I can't really tell what is going on in most of these shots. And then finally we have the Brutes, which I think it's called, which is a really cool name. And I think this is the Sabrask marksman rifle, mainly because of the scope, and you can see how short the magazine is. I'll pull it up here in a moment whenever we start going through the trailer stuff. Or maybe I'll pull it up now. Who knows? But earlier in the trailer, Rhinoc loads his assault rifle through the top of the gun. So this could be that same gun, but the assault rifle Rhinoc, if I recall correctly, doesn't have a sight on it. So this means that either A, this is a different gun, or B, this is something that you're able to attach to your gun and make it like, you know, a bit more accurate at a distance or something. Going on to what Mira is holding over here, I have no clue, but I do have an assumption that this is probably a similar weapon to the one that FaZe is using in the cinematic trailer before Rhinoc basically shoots him in the chest after he gets flanked. But I'll have to go over that in a moment. And then you see Bolt up here holding, I believe it's just the Sabrask rocket launcher. So I think from what I'm understanding in this game is that the power weapons are always going to be of a specific faction. So I would assume from these screenshots that the rocket is Sabrask. I would assume Meridian is the sniper slash railgun we saw, and there is an Eros like power weapon somewhere. Whether or not that's a shotgun or a BFB or the bat, basically, I have no clue. So going over the weapons. Now, specifically, the weapons from the cinematic trailer is really what we are going to be looking at. Okay, so coming over to the cinematic announcement trailer, we're going to quickly go through it and figure out what all the little weapons we have here. But first, I want to quickly skip to... Where is it? It's around here somewhere. This. So this pod opens up with all the weapons. And specifically, this is a Meridian kind of like loadout pod. Now, yes, Meridian has a set weapons that they can choose from. So it looks like they have some sort of like revolver, and then there's 2 different pistols with different varying barrel lengths and whatever. And then whatever this charging handle weapon is, which I just think is the one that she picks up here, and you'll see her charge it there. And then the vents. But the other rifle, I think we see later on, come from FaZe when he gets shot in the back by Rhinoc right here. As you can see, it's right there. I believe this is the same one. And then later on, there's probably also going to be another weapon that would also be included there, where, go here, it's that little dinky SMG thing that we saw in the earlier teaser, when they really first, like, revealed the game, so to speak. So, there it is, there's also that. And the reason that I'm bringing up this weapon pod is because this is what they mean by class-based shooter. So if we go to here and read here, with this next game, it's more of a class-based shooter. This is effectively the suggesting that every faction will have their own unique set of weapons. So Meridian will specifically be using the Aramid weapons. So all these weapons are essentially plasma-based as far as I'm aware. I haven't seen anything suggest that they're kinetic. And then if you kind of peer at what Bolt's holding, he's holding what I believe is the BR. It's an Eros weapon. This is suggested by, number one, the design is pure white, of which it really matches the outfits that these 2 Eros people are wearing, and it suggests that these are also Eros weapons. And then Sabrasks, of course, are also going to be running Sabrask faction weapons. This is a kind of a red flag in my eyes, especially since a lot of people have read up on some of the stuff that they also have in the Discord. In fact, I can pull that up real quick and I can display some shenanigans. If I go to about Splitgate 2 and I pull it over here, my servers are a bit messy, but if you can scroll up here and it says utilize dynamic abilities and diverse weapons to your advantage and playstyle, mix and match factions to build the ultimate team. And then it also says grow your skills as you unlock new capabilities for each faction, upgrade your weapons, and maximize your loadout potential. So there are potential ideas of being able to put attachments onto your weapons, which worries me because we're leaning more into the Call of Duty territory. But at the same time, we're also having the X-Defiant faction style, where you choose a character from a faction, and this faction will share 2 abilities of which you can choose from. So in Bolt's case, you'll have this portal that you see here, or you will be able to utilize this shock disc. And then, of course, the other factions will have their own two unique weapons as well. So regarding other weapons throughout this trailer, Mira, of course, is using one of those pistols that we saw earlier. I think this is the same one that's in that screenshot of the sliding player. This Eros person being dunked on has... I don't know what this is. This one's a very hard to see. I can go frame by frame, but you can see that it is just not easy to see at all. My only thing, it could be an SMG, it could be a marksman rifle, considering it's not full auto, so I don't know. Again, Mira is using some type of rifle, I think this is. This is not much of a shotgun. At least it doesn't look like it, so who knows. Bolt runs around with the BR, of which I showcased. So there's the BR, has a bullpup magazine like the OG BR, and then you have this little rifle here. I don't know what this is. It looks like an assault rifle, so I would assume this is the Eros equivalent of an AR, similar to how Sabrask has an AR. And then Bolt, of course, points to his reflection. And then Mira does her hyper sight, and you can see the brute weapon that we saw earlier, which again, I believe this is a marksman rifle. It has a sight on it, but who knows, considering you can upgrade your weapons, this could just simply be a scope on the normal AR. Who knows? And again, we have Phase with the Aramid, and Sabrask assault rifle comes up behind him, dead. And then we have another little SMG over here to the left. Now, this is not the same SMG as this one, I believe. Or this one, for that matter. As you can see, the foregrip is completely different on both of these. There's a potential chance it could be this one. But considering the name and the detailing on these weapons aren't the same, I highly doubt these two weapons are the same. And again, FaZe has that Aramid, and then there's the Aramid weapon again in Mira's hands. And then as Bolts is doing his chasing thing, Rhinoc has his rocket launcher, which is the Sabrask rocket launcher. And conveniently fires 3 rockets. I don't know if this is all at once. I hope it's not all at once, because I feel like that's a huge waste. And then, of course, we have the iconic Bolt jump, where he splits this little SMG into 2. So again, it looks very similar to that SMG we saw earlier, but I just don't think it's the same gun. Again, the grip just does not look the same. No, I don't think it's the same gun. And finally, to end it off, we get a better look at this BR, which I hope it's a BR, because I really like this BR design. And you know, he just slides in with it, and then it shifts position soon after to the front view, of which you can get a better look at it. It almost reminds me of a paintball gun, and you can see the other rifles here too. Rhinoc moves it, and you can see a little bit of his rifle. Again, it's missing the scope, so I think this is an AR. And so, yeah, I think that's generally every single weapon that I've been able to actually find throughout this trailer, and really being able to piece together how exactly these weapons and factions and guns are going to work. Who knows at this point, but hopefully we get answers here later in August. Alright, so to finalize my thoughts, I'm worried about the game for one, because luckily we're not playing a hero shooter. I don't know what I would do if I was playing hero shooter in a Halo style shooter game. But we're not necessarily playing X-Defiant either. I don't know. It's just the limiting the guns to the specific factions is a bit weird. I really hope there's no outlier in necessarily like meta or something of the sorts, because Call of Duty has a bad meta problem where something does more damage over something, everybody will gravitate to that meta. So I'm kind of worried one faction will have like a weapon that's super strong, and then everybody will just gravitate to that faction, meaning that there is a potential chance that you'll see nothing but bolts being run around the map. So that's the one thing I am really worried about. So I really hope they balance out a lot of the weapon situation that goes on in this game. So I don't know. I'm curious to see what a lot of people have thought now that I'm really piecing the puzzle together about how this game seems to be functioning. We won't be able to see how it's going to function until August, because during Gamescom, apparently there's going to be a huge announcement about maybe people being able to play the game at Gamescom, and we have gotten no news about anything going on outside of Gamescom. So just keep in mind that once August hits, we will be seeing a lot more news come out about this game and possibly gameplay footage. So keep that in mind. So if you found this video informative and you want to stick around for more news, you can always subscribe, hit the bell. I do the content. Once you ring the bell, the content comes to you. And you can always like and comment, helps the algorithm. You can always share it to the friends, if they are looking for information about the game too, and maybe a little bit of gameplay. But with that said, I will be ending the video here. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Adios.